Thank you.
Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to another amazing interview for Geek Vibes Nation. I'm your host, Tia, and I have with me the amazing Natalie Victoria, who stars in the horror movie Malum. And from already my background, I've been told that you were also in the other movie, The Last Shift, which Malum is this like reimagining of The Last Shift. So
Malum. Yes.
yes, and I did. Sorry, Malum.
I know it's a tough name to get, but then once you get it, you're like, okay, Malum.
Yeah, I was literally,
Malum.
I was literally like sitting there before, like I know I'm gonna mispronounce this, so let's just get that out of the way,
I
right?
mispronounce it all the time on set, and Anthony would be like, no, you're wrong. It's Malum.
Well, and so being in Malum and the Last Shift, right? What
Yeah.
are the differences? How did you feel revisiting this story? Just walk me through all that.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, thanks for having me on. So really appreciate that. And I mean, it's a really unique opportunity, especially, as an actor to be able to revisit a role twice in two different movies. Um, it's such a unique opportunity. I'll probably never get that opportunity again. So that was really cool. It's definitely a challenge, because when I approach a role, I leave everything, put everything on the table and leave it there. And sometimes throw the kitchen sink too, right? Just give it everything you have. And so in a lot of ways, I felt like Marigold's story was done. So when, you know, found out I was going to be doing Marigold again, I said, "Oh, okay. How am I going to do this? This is a real challenge, right? Like, how do you reinvent that?" And so and I always think every role is, 50% writing and 50% the performer, and then of course the director kind of hones all that in. They're the mad orchestrator of it all. Um, and Anthony did a great job writing Marigold for Malum. And in the first film, she's very vulnerable and almost running away from something, and she's a soothsayer in a sense to the film, giving important information to Officer Lauren, and kind of pushes the story forward. And you're not really sure if she's even a real person or a ghost. And then these questions linger, after that. But in Malum, there's an elevated sense of danger. And so I kind of had to say, okay, how do I reimagine this? Just like, Anthony was taking the task of reimagining the whole film. Like, how do I reimagine this one character? And make it something fresh so that if you had seen Last Shift before as a fan and you're coming to this, you wouldn't recognize this as the same that you had already seen. This would be a totally reimagined Marigold, almost like a Marigold in a multi-dimension, universe or something, that's totally different. And my goal, in my head as an artist, was to try to disappear as much as possible, recreate something totally fresh and new with an elevated sense of danger, where you don't really know, is she a harbinger of doom? Is she good? Is she bad? Is she a little unhinged, but still relatable? Like, what is going on with her? Like, just a question mark. And so kind of delved into that, very Glenn Close, Fatal Attraction inspiration, from that. And just tried to disappear as much as possible. So, my hope was that fans would see and be like, wow, this is totally different, and not even know the same actress played both roles unless they looked it up. So that was a challenge.
I can imagine because I've heard from many actors and actresses that I've spoken to where they say I played that. Even if I'm interviewing them about something they did a few years ago, they'll say, I played that role, and as you said, I left it there. So
Yeah.
did you have to go back and rewatch The Last Shift to kind of get that inspiration for Marigold, or did you want to really approach this as a different character?
I approached it as a different character. So I didn't watch the film again at all. I hadn't seen it in several years, and it's been almost not quite 10 years since that film was made. So there was just definitely some time in between there. Other experiences, creatively, and otherwise that had happened in my life that I could kind of pull from. So I wanted to approach it completely new. But yeah, I mean, like you said, the biggest challenge was, okay, so I left everything with that role on, like, what's left in the tank. And so, having that mindset, I had to approach it from a fresh perspective and go, okay, here's all this, new stuff. Like, what new experiences can I pour into this, so that I can put some more stuff on the table. It's new and fresh. And yeah, just kind of work through that. I definitely lost my voice the next day. I'll tell you that. I couldn't
I can
speak.
imagine.
So yeah, but it was a
Um,
lot of fun.
I mean, I always hear people having a really good time on horror sets. Um, why do you think that is?
True. Well, I think, because the film itself and usually the content is just so intense, and and especially if you get good writing, like, Malum has a great narrative and just reimagined story. So there's a lot of really deep levels to it, right? And it's so serious that it's like you just kind of have to cut through that, you can't like carry that all the way through. Luckily, we didn't have any method actors on set. So because it's like, that's intense. It's hard. It's like you're like exhausted emotionally at the end of the day. I mean, I know I was. So I think that that's why the sets are so fun, right? Is because in between takes, it's like you got to kind of have a little bit of levity to kind of break that up, which is really awesome. Two, the other reason that they're so fun is because if you're lucky enough, you'll be working with like a director, producers who love practical effects.
Mm.
And that was definitely the case with Malum. And so you get to work with like blood and, gore and, these crazy monsters and kind of things. And, not to give any spoilers away. It's just fun. I mean, I'm a huge movie fan, first and foremost. I mean, obviously that's why I work in the industry or chose to, is because of that. I mean, I see a million movies. I love movies. I love the whole process of making movies. And horror movies just lend themselves to a fun environment on set. I think it's the demeanor set by the producers and director, but those are the two biggest ones. It's like you're just working with like really fun stuff that essentially is, I think, what a lot of movie fans fell in love with, which is like monsters and like cool special effects and all that stuff that makes movies movies.
Yeah, and I did see that Malum leans more towards special effects, practical effects, as opposed to really relying on CGI. Is that refreshing? Because I've seen a lot of discourse that people are kind of getting frustrated with movies really relying too much on CGI these days.
And I'm with them. I'm with those people. You can put me in that group too. Because I really think digital effects are awesome, and I think technology is great and it's helping move us in a great direction. But to rely on something entirely, whether it be digital effects or other, would be a mistake because it's a tool like anything else. It has to be wielded with someone that has the wisdom to basically know, as an artist, how much of a stroke to paint with it. Will it be a large stroke or a small stroke? And then use another tool from the toolbox for some shading, so to speak, right? And practical effects, especially for horror films, I mean, if you can do them, is great. And I'm speaking just from an artist standpoint, right? As a performer and an actor, because it just instantly puts you there, right? When I'm working in front of a green screen or a blue screen, I really got to, tap into my imagination and just let it run wild. And sometimes the directors are like, okay, cut, 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 cut. But practical, it's so much easier because you're there. You are there. It's real. It brings this visceral feeling on set, that causes, I think, a better performance, to be honest, because it's like you're really reacting in the moment to those things. Um, and it kind of helps elevate the imagination level to make it real, and be there in the moment and give the best performance for fans. And honestly, I really think fans are a lot smarter than, some filmmakers give them credit for. Honestly, like, I mean, they can tell, they know what's up. They know if it's practical or digital, or like if you're cutting corners on stuff. And so I think, as artists, as writers, as, performers and certainly as filmmakers, like, we have to do a better job and rise to that challenge, of using the right tools to bring the right creative vision so we can give the best experience possible, to fans, because they're very smart and well versed now in this stuff. So yeah, which is cool. It's good. It makes us better. I like it.
Especially, I feel horror fans really want to see all of that, and they can tell when fake blood obviously is digital, or there's some practical effects that being used in play. So I do like seeing that when you see filmmakers, specifically horror filmmakers, understand that that's what fans want. So I would though imagine that after a day of filming it makes for a bit of a messy cleanup.
It does. It does. Yeah, sometimes you can't get it off you. That's always fun. So you'll have it on for a couple days. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I love practical effects, honestly. I mean, I remember like one of the first films I did, I was watching, the stunt guys like testing squibs, and I was like, "Ooh, can I test one?" And they're like, "What?" Which I did. And yeah, that hurt, but it was cool.
At least you got that
So
experience.
yes, yeah. I mean, I love it. Yeah, this movie has tons of practical effects. I think fans will be very, very, very happy with it. Malum really delivers in that respect. They just, really took Anthony's vision and all his. Russell FX is actually the people who worked on it, and they did a great job, really taking his vision from like sketches to reality, obviously, in the movie, and it just really kind of comes through. And I'm excited to see what fans think, and but we're really happy with it.
And I love that, honestly. I can see the excitement from you. I can see the passion in you. And so I know after doing Malum, right, you revisited Marigold. I'm
Yes.
assuming that now you left that in that performance. What other performances do you have upcoming? I mean, what other projects are you super excited for?
Well, I'd love to. Yeah, I'm definitely leaving. Marigold's done.
Yeah.
And I got to do stunts in this film, which is great. I love doing my own stunts. So I think I'd love a role where I can do more of my own stunts, and keep surprising people, which is something I love doing, being like, oh yeah, this person does that too. Like, what? That's the same person. Like, I just love that. I love disappearing into roles. And so I'm really up for any challenge in that regard. I have a lot of writing projects right now, kind of coming up. Anthony and I started writing together, and so we've kind of been exploring a lot of different scripts right now. We have one that's out called The Step Counter. It's a thriller, female driven. And we're also working on a horror project that we're really excited about, but we're in the early stages, so we can't really share anything right now. But we're really, really excited about that. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot coming up. And of course, on the acting front, I'm always open for whatever opportunities. But as an actor, we're always auditioning and self-taping and sending it off to the ether land, and hoping it lands with somebody so we can have the opportunity to bring something cool to the screen again. So yeah, that's basically it.
Well, I hope whenever you are able to divulge your details on the writing project for the horror project, please let us know, obviously. Um,
Absolutely.
for those
Yeah,
who
no.
are for those who are watching this, where can they find you? Are you on social media? Where can they, follow along with your journey?
Yeah, I am on social media, although I have different tags depending on which social network you're on. So I would say the best place to find me is IMDb. I make sure that all my social links are updated on my profile. So you can kind of go there and find all the right social links. But I am on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Not TikTok yet. Don't know if I will be. We'll see. There's just so many out there, but yeah, I would say IMDb is the best place to go to because I have them all listed there. But thank you so much for having me, Tia. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Natalie. And again, everyone, make sure you watch Malum. Let me know what you think, what you thought about Natalie's performance as Marigold. Yeah, I'm super pumped for it. So thank you again, Natalie.
Thanks.